Welcome to Eastern Wisdom today. Discover the Eastern wisdom, awaken the self. In an age of conformity, distraction, and digital noise, how can we reclaim the power of being truly ourselves? In this thought-provoking video, we explore the deep psychological, scientific, and philosophical foundations of individualism, and why cultivating your authentic self is no longer a luxury, but a survival skill in the 21st century. Learn the difference between ego-driven rebellion and conscious individuality. Discover how solitude, values, and creative dissent lead to inner freedom. Meet the historical icons, from Musashi to Nietzsche, who walked their own paths. Apply practical strategies to unleash your own power in modern life. Whether you're an artist, entrepreneur, student, or seeker, this video will inspire you to live deliberately, think independently, and contribute more meaningfully to the world. Subscribe to Eastern Wisdom today for more deep insights on self-mastery, philosophy, and mindful living. We are living in an unprecedented era, an age of global connectivity, omnipresent technology, and algorithms that shape how we think, feel, and live. But amidst this sea of people, are you truly living your life? Modern psychology reveals a troubling truth. Conformity, whether in behavior, thought, or emotion, is causing individuals to lose the ability to self-define. More than ever, we rely on external cues to tell us who we are, likes and shares, trending topics, invisible societal expectations. And while the world constantly screams at you to fit in, there is a faint but powerful voice within that dares to whisper, "Be yourself." This is not just an emotional plea. It is a psychological necessity, even a biological imperative, for authentic development. And in this video, we'll explore how to reclaim and unleash the true power of individualism in a world that desperately wants you to be a copy. 1. The individual versus conformity. In every corner of modern life, a quiet pressure hums beneath the surface, a pressure to conform, to dress a certain way, to think within socially acceptable boundaries, to follow paths already carved by others. This pressure is subtle, almost invisible. It seeps through our education systems, where standardized tests measure intelligence by rigid metrics. It flows through the workplace, where consensus is often valued over original thought. And it pulses across social media, where algorithms reward mimicry and punish divergence. But here's the paradox. While conformity may offer comfort and social safety, it often comes at the cost of personal authenticity. Psychologists like Erich Fromm have long warned of the escape from freedom, a phenomenon where individuals, overwhelmed by modern complexity, choose to surrender their uniqueness for the ease of belonging. Neuroscience, too, offers sobering insight. Studies using fMRI scans have shown that when individuals go against group consensus, the brain regions associated with fear and anxiety light up, suggesting that nonconformity is literally felt as a threat to survival. It is no wonder, then, that so many prefer to blend in rather than stand out. Yet history tells another story. Every major leap in human progress, scientific, artistic, philosophical, was born not from the collective, but from a single mind daring to disagree. It was the refusal to conform that gave rise to thinkers like Galileo, artists like Van Gogh, revolutionaries like Rosa Parks. To reclaim individuality is not to reject society, but to engage with it consciously, rather than passively. It is to say, I see the stream, and I choose whether to flow with it, or carve a new channel. In a world increasingly shaped by mass influence and algorithmic suggestion, cultivating one's individuality is no longer a luxury. It is a form of resistance, a declaration of inner sovereignty, and perhaps, the most profound act of courage in the 21st century. 2. The psychological and scientific power of individualism. At first glance, individualism may seem like a philosophical preference, or worse, a selfish rebellion against social norms. But in truth, The drive to individuate is not a luxury. It is a biological, psychological, and evolutionary imperative. From a psychological standpoint, individualism is deeply tied to the concept of self-actualization, a term popularized by Abraham Maslow. In his hierarchy of needs, Maslow placed self-actualization at the very top, the full realization of one's potential. According to him, the most fulfilled, creative, and mentally healthy individuals are those who have dared to pursue their own unique path, independent of external approval. This is supported by research in positive psychology. Dr. Martin Seligman and others have shown that autonomy, the sense that one is the originator of their own behavior, is one of the central components of lasting well-being. When people feel they are freely choosing their direction, they exhibit greater emotional resilience, higher motivation and purpose, lower levels of anxiety and depression, and a heightened capacity for innovation and problem-solving. From a neurological perspective, individuality is encoded in the very structure of the brain. No two brains are wired the same, not even identical twins. Each of us is born with a neurobiological uniqueness, a fingerprint of thoughts, instincts, and potentials. To suppress this uniqueness in favor of conformity is to suppress the brain's most natural evolutionary function, adaptive creativity. Moreover, research on neuroplasticity shows that the brain thrives on novelty, challenge, and internal alignment. When individuals pursue goals aligned with their personal values, rather than external pressure, the brain produces more dopamine, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters associated with sustained happiness and cognitive clarity. Philosophers have long intuited this. Carl Jung called individuation the process of becoming who you truly are, asserting that the failure to individuate leads to internal fragmentation and spiritual malaise. Jung didn't see the individual as isolated from the collective, but as a necessary balance to it. He believed that a healthy society can only emerge when it is composed of authentic, whole individuals, not mechanical parts in a cultural machine. In a world of mass influence, reclaiming your individuality is not about being different for the sake of difference. It is about aligning your outer actions with your inner essence, your values, your calling, your deep intuitions. That alignment generates an internal harmony that no external validation can replace. So when you choose to honor your individuality, you're not separating yourself from humanity. You are strengthening your contribution to it. Because the paradox of human flourishing is this: only when individuals dare to be fully themselves, do they bring the most value to the collective. 3. Icons of individualism. Throughout history, the world has been shaped not by the masses, but by a handful of individuals who dared to walk alone. These were not people who sought rebellion for its own sake. They were seekers of truth, individuals who listened to the whisper of their inner voice even when it clashed with the roar of the crowd. Take Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese swordsman. He was not merely a warrior, but a philosopher who rejected the comfort of schools and masters. Musashi wandered alone, developing his own martial path, the way of walking alone. His life exemplifies how solitude, when chosen consciously, becomes a crucible for deep insight, mastery, and authenticity. Or consider Friedrich Nietzsche, whose ideas shattered the intellectual complacency of his time. Nietzsche challenged religion, morality, and herd mentality, not to destroy, but to awaken. His concept of the Übermensch, the overman, was not about domination, but about radical self-overcoming. To Nietzsche, the greatest human was not the obedient citizen, but the one who created new values from within. In the modern era, we see this thread continue. Frida Kahlo, who painted her pain and identity into every brushstroke, defied gender norms and cultural expectations to create a language of raw, personal symbolism. Steve Jobs, known for his obsession with elegance and simplicity, famously said, "Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice." These icons didn't merely succeed. They transformed the world, not by mimicking it, but by reimagining it. What binds them all is not just talent, but an unshakable loyalty to self-truth. And this loyalty often came at a cost: isolation, criticism, misunderstanding. But that is the price of authenticity in a conformist world. Psychologists call this trait self-determination, the ability to live in alignment with one's internal compass rather than external pressure. And according to decades of research, it is one of the strongest predictors of lasting fulfillment and creative excellence. So when we look at these icons, we are not merely studying greatness. We are witnessing the power of the uncompromised self, a power that lives not only in history books, but in each of us. The question is, will you listen to that voice within, or let it be silenced by the crowd? 4. How to unleash individuality in modern life. The question is no longer why individuality matters, but how to cultivate it in a world designed for uniformity. We are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us who to be, advertisements that sell us identities, social media that rewards conformity, institutions that prize obedience over originality. To reclaim your individuality is not an act of ego, it is an act of clarity, responsibility, and quiet rebellion. So where do we begin? Learn to be alone, intentionally. Solitude is not loneliness. Neuroscience shows that quiet, reflective time strengthens the brain's default mode network, responsible for self-referential thinking, imagination, and personal meaning. In solitude, the noise fades, and in that silence, you begin to hear something deeper, your own voice. Define your core values. Most people live reactively, aligning with values they inherited, not ones they've examined. Ask yourself, what do I truly stand for? What am I willing to suffer for? Your values are your compass. Without them, you're sailing without direction in someone else's storm. Practice conscious dissent. You don't need to oppose everything, but you do need to notice when you're agreeing out of fear, not truth. Psychologists call this pluralistic ignorance, when everyone follows a norm they secretly disagree with, thinking they're the only one. One voice of dissent can shatter an illusion. Create your own rhythm. Modern life promotes urgency, distraction, and external validation. To live individually is to design your own tempo. Carve space for deep work. Say no without guilt. Prioritize presence over performance. When you control your time, you begin to reclaim your identity. Seek depth over popularity. True individuality isn't loud, it's rooted. Depth comes from sustained inquiry, from reading, reflection, and creating from within. You may not trend, but you will resonate, and resonance lasts longer than virality. To unleash your individuality is not to isolate yourself from the world, but to meet it as someone whole. Because the greatest contribution you can offer is not imitation, but authenticity. And in a time when everyone is trying to be seen, the rarest and most powerful thing you can be is real. Conclusion. In a world increasingly shaped by noise, algorithms, and collective pressure, the journey inward becomes an act of quiet revolution. Individualism is not about isolation or arrogance, it is the disciplined courage to live in alignment with your inner truth. It is the science of self-awareness, the psychology of autonomy, and the art of becoming whole. Because when you stand rooted in who you truly are, you don't just liberate yourself, you give others silent permission to do the same. And perhaps, that is how the world changes. Not all at once, but one awakened individual at a time. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you found valuable insights and inspiration to begin your journey of discovering and unleashing the power of individuality in modern life. Don't forget to apply these principles in your life to live more fully and meaningfully. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it with your friends and family so we can spread the power of personal freedom together. Subscribe to the Eastern Wisdom Today channel to never miss out on new videos about Eastern philosophy, mindfulness, and living a deeper, more meaningful life. We always provide helpful lessons to guide you in self-development and living a purposeful life. Wishing you a wonderful day and always staying true to yourself.